The adidas SoleMatch Control is meant to occupy that tweener space between the uber maximalist shoe and the uber minimalist shoe, trying to take the best of both worlds. And I was really excited to take these on a test drive about a little over a month ago when I first got them, until I busted my ankle. And I've been sitting looking at these on my desk now while I've been trying to rehab my ankle, being able to go side to side. And now that I'm finally well enough to do that, cannot wait to get these on court. Let's see what they can do. And a huge thanks to Tennis Point USA for letting me raid their warehouse, pick up a pair of these. If you do want to get a pair of these for yourself, I will leave links in the description below. You know, the uppers on the SoleMatch Control are actually pretty stiff when you take them out of the box. I mean, the SoleMatch Bounce and the Sole Court Boost, whoa, were quite a bit more buttery. Now, they do break in. It is only about 35 degrees Fahrenheit here right now. So, you know, they had a little bit of a trouble breaking in at first. However, after a couple times, even though it was cold, they have broken in. However, what the real issue is Adidas is trying to make a shoe that's lightweight like the Ubersonic 4, but also really durable like the Sole Court Boost. It's mostly meshing on the outside, but then just a ton of rubber reinforcement here on the uppers of the shoes. It's almost like having a second outsole tread up there. You can actually grip from it, which is really interesting. However, it just does make the shoe that little bit more stiff. Now, the one thing I'll say about the fit of these is because they do have the rubber coming up here to the heel counter is really stiff, which does give you a nice side-to-side movement. However, in terms of lockdown, you will want to use the runner's knot here, because if you don't, you will get a little bit of heel slippage. I noticed when I put the runner's knot in, 0, even on my brace side over here, nothing in terms of heel slippage. The nice other thing is when you lace these up, it's mostly going through rubber, so the tie down is incredibly strong on these, given how light the uppers feel versus other maximalist shoes in its category. However, when you look at it on the upper durability test, the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, I mean, the Dremel barely gets through any of this. So in terms of a sliding shoe, they're so durable to sliding, but number two, because you can actually grip from that position. So if you are in a really compromised kind of split position here, you can still push. Unlike other shoes where you might slip a little bit, it's just that the uppers will take maybe about 1 or 2 times on court for like a full match to really break in and feel more like the other Sole Court or SoleMatch line shoes. But getting into the midsole teardown, this is the one place I think that Adidas may have missed an opportunity. It is an entire bed of bounce foam, which is awesome, and it does have a lateral TPU stabilizer here going from the midfoot all the way to the rear foot, which actually does engage a lot. You can actually feel that engaging when you're going side to side. So that is nice. However, there is no shank in these shoes. It's all held up by the stiffness and kind of the buoyancy of bounce foam, which, yeah, while they're new, is incredibly bouncy. And because of the profile of these, they perform quite well out of the box. If you look at it on the jump height test, got an average of 40 centimeters on the jump height test, and that's after busting my ankle on the inside, cracking it, and tearing the ligaments on the outside. One of my first shoes I went full go back serving on, and I was still able to get a pretty good launch off of these. The bad part is over time, especially if you are a heavier player, these are gonna start to bottom out on you. So, I mean, an orthotic obviously is gonna shield that. However, you know, you're gonna get a performance loss on these as they get older versus on the Sole Court Boost, where, I mean, those will kind of maintain their performance over such a long period of time because of how stiff the shank was underneath them. But by far the best part of the SoleMatch Control, even more than the midsole and the jump height, is the outsole tread, how light the rubber is, how it interacts with the rest of the shoe. You can see this wall is on a pickleball court. I've got about 0 space to take my backswing, and I'm still able to hit against this wall side there pretty easily and maneuver myself around this really tight area, because the shoe, number one, is a little bit lighter than other shoes in its category, can grip incredibly well on the upper rubber, but also the plantar rubber, or the actual rubber, is that nice wavy herringbone pattern like in the A6 Court FF2. It grips incredibly well. It gets up off the court incredibly well too. But because of the weight of the rubber and the compound, it also just glides and moves really effortlessly. So if you're looking for a shoe for really nimble footwork, really able to kind of make those really small tweak adjustment steps, these are quite a good pickup. And looking at these on the shuttle test, honestly, not as representative as I would have liked it to be, just because I still am a little trepid on corners and kind of pushing off sometimes. I came in at 14.90 seconds, which honestly sub 15 right now, kind of in my left foot state, is pretty good. I had another pair of basketball shoes out there that were really great on corners too, that I came in right around the same time. So right now, that's a pretty good time for me. I did notice on these, number one, they are silent on the court. They really don't make a lot of noise. Number two, when you're pivoting laterally and you want to come to a stop, these block patterns really do kind of come to a stop pretty easily. However, I did notice going forward, if you wanted to, these will allow you to slide. And with the durability profile of these, you look at these on the outsole durability test, the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, speaking of, not even a millimeter of damage on that outsole rubber. Durometer comes in at like 18.8, which is super hard rubber compound. So just for the profile of these, you can slide them if you want to. You can come to a hard stop if you want to as well, just putting a little more weight on them, kind of putting your lateral foot down, especially with this TPU stabilizer on the outside. They will come to a complete stop. Because there is no shank in them, they definitely don't have that push-off launch that I would like on the straights. Jump height test, a little bit different story because you're on static stance. You can just kind of lift off. The other profile of the shoe does well on that. However, in terms of like a running speed front to back, I think a shank could have aided in those. However, which we'll get to in the playability section, side to side speed on these, off the charts. Now the fit of the SoleMatch controls, kind of like a lot of the other SoleMatch or Sole Court series, they are super generous in the forefoot. If you are a really narrow foot, probably would be going down that 1/2 size. A medium foot, you know, you can go down a half. You want like a real performance fit. 2E, true to size is fine. Medium, you can go true to size. So if you just want a little bit more roominess or have an ankle brace like I do on, I want to wear 2 pairs of socks. I will say somebody with like heel pain, ball of foot pain, tendinitis, these aren't the most plush shoes out there. They're definitely sturdy, that's for sure. So I mean, rotational type issues and things like that, they're fine. Remember, this is a pretty hard formulation of bounce foam, hence the jump height test and how I was able to get that. It is just a stiffer pair of shoes. Now remember, once they break down a little bit, that's gonna go down. So I think these, like a pair like Power Steps or something in them, would really actually be a super supportive shoe. You'd probably get Sole Court Boost territory of support there with an orthotic in them, and just without them, they're not the Sole Court Boost. They're much more on the level of the SoleMatch Bounce. But you know, getting into the playability of these, I really think Adidas struck a nice balance between the Ubersonic line and the Sole Court or SoleMatch line, because they're not as much of a boat as those other shoes. And for the people that don't like that really crazy arch support in the Sole Court Boost, these definitely have lowered it down a little bit. However, if you do like that, like I said, just put an orthotic in it, you'll kind of get the same experience. However, in terms of this kind of on-court movement, these do their best from baseline to baseline. They're a really quick side-to-side shoe, especially when you are, like I said, doing the splits. In awkward positions, they still have a ton of side-to-side speed. So in terms of like an all-court shoe, I really think, you know, right now, these are one of the better ones on the market. Now, I will say the midsole foam is going to start to bottom out on you faster than some other shoes will. So, you know, you're not going to get the longevity of the Sole Court Boost in these. However, in terms of Adidas's lineup right now in terms of shoes, I think I would rather have these more than really any other Adidas shoe right now, especially like the Barricade. These are much more of a more forgiving shoe. I think their upper durability is better than the Barricade. The Ubersonic, they have just a much more stout frame on them. They don't have some of the durability issues that the Ubersonic did. You know, so these are really kind of fitting the niche that I would like in a shoe, more that middle of the road, really durable, but also more like kind of tennis speed focused shoe, more that side to side kind of speed in the awkward angles and situations. And even if you are a pickleballer, serve and volleyer, or especially a doubles player that is kind of playing up at the net a little bit more, kind of getting to these weird pockets of territory up there on the court, these will allow a lot of nimble footwork, but also a tremendous amount of grip, really, no matter where you are on the court. And of course, love to hear your thoughts on the SoleMatch Control. Are you looking to pick a pair of these up, or are you going for something more like the Ubersonic 4 or the Barricade? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to see the direct competitor to the SoleMatch Control, the Adidas Barricade, make sure you click into this video up above and subscribe down below. Yes, this is a brand new set, and yes, it is going to change a lot over the next couple weeks. And yes, I do have plenty more tennis shoes that I do need to start reviewing now that I am kind of feeling up to it. So look out for those videos coming soon. Respect your rubber and foam. See you in the next one.